Greetings and welcome to another exciting edition of Poet to Poet. I'm Robert Dunn, and I still get the host, although we've gotten a few letters to the contrary, but I'm still here. And where I am at the moment is the Orange Bear, which is a fun place on Murray Street, just off City Hall, where all the bureaucrats come in and get bombed later in the evening after the day's work is done. And the mayor drops in once in a while. We're grateful to Vic and Yuri for letting us come in here and make public spectacles of ourselves. Now, you would think that I'd be able to make a spectacle of myself all by myself, but our format is that we have guests, highly talented guests, and we have two today. We have the legendary Hal Sirowitz over here in the beige tights, and we have Kathy Taylor over here in the with the spangled eyes.
Oh, well.
And Hal will be reading from his books, and Kathy will be singing, and it's going to be a very exciting show, so let's get right into it. We start with Hal Sirowitz. He is the author of a couple of poetry books. We have Mother Said somewhere in the pile here. Let's hold them up, and so we can get a... And when he got tired of listening to Mother, he came up with My Therapist Said. These were published by Crown Books, which means you got money for them, I believe.
Yeah.
You don't have to say how much, that's all. And they've been translated into Norwegian, Finnish, Hebrew, Polish, and Spanish, and is a runaway bestseller in Norway.
Yeah, which I can't figure out why.
That must be a terrible commute.
I went there once.
How was it?
It was nice. I read it with John Irving.
Ah. Did he talk about his mother?
No, I didn't talk about her.
Mm-hmm. All right. And in real life, such as it is, when you're not in Norway, you're a special education teacher in Queens. Right. Queens? Let's hear it for Queens. Yay. Let's see. And you do readings in places like Joe's Cafe at the Public Theater in New York City. What is the Public Theater?
It's on Astor Place. That's where George Wolfe developed plays, bringing the funk, bringing the noise, among others.
Okay. And you were at the MacDowell Art Colony.
Yep.
And you're working on another book where you get back at the other two. Yeah,
I give the other side. It's called Hal Said, where I finally talk up. Mm-hmm. I give my side of the story.
All right. Why don't we find out what these people are saying about you? How about giving us a sample of Mother and the Therapist there?
It's called Trial and Tribulation. Don't stick your finger in the electric socket, Mother said. You could get a shock, and if it doesn't kill you, it'll leave a lot of static in your hair. It might not come out with shampoo. Your hair will stand straight on your head, and everyone will know what you did. If God didn't want you to have curly hair, he'd have given you to a different mother. But he gave you to me, and I wonder why. I went to temple. I said my prayers.
Remember, Kathy, there are words of wisdom here, if you can just
translate them. I totally get it.
Mother's always right.
It's tracking.
No more birthdays. Don't swing the umbrella in the store, Mother said. There are all these glass jars of spaghetti sauce above your head that can fall on you, and you can die. Then you won't be able to go to tonight's party or go to the bowling alley tomorrow. And instead of celebrating your birthday with soda and cake, we'll have anniversaries of your death with tea and crackers, and your father and I won't be able to eat spaghetti anymore. because the marinara sauce will remind us of you.
Woof.
It's good.
Crumbs. Don't eat any food in your room, Mother said. You'll get more bugs. They depend on people like you. Otherwise they would starve. But who you want to make happy? Your mother or a bunch of ants? What have they done for you? Nothing. They have no feelings. They eat your candy. Yet you treat them better than you treat me. You keep feeding them, but you never offer me anything.
My aunts made me an honorary member of the ant farm.
Oh, they have. So you don't listen to your mother, you eat in your room?
On occasion.
Shame on you.
Somebody's got to support the ants.
Oh, they could find food. They could take care of themselves. This is what my mother told me.
Yeah, but you never know when you might need a favor.
Well, you could go to someone else's house. I'm being the devil's advocate,
Okay.
mother.
It's a bit of antimony there sprinkled out all over the place.
Okay.
Any others?
Yeah, I'm going to read. I didn't want to be considered a mother's boy all my life, so I wrote my new book. It's called My Therapist Said.
While you're fishing out therapy poems, is that any particular mother, or is it a composite?
This was my mother. It actually all happened. My mother would yell at me all the time. And so unfortunately it's all true. This is called The Fame Game. You have this need to be famous, my therapist said, but I think you should get a job first. If you look at all the famous people, they all had jobs. George Bush never looks like he's doing anything, but he was once a president. You have to start from somewhere. Otherwise, you just be famous inside your own head. But so is everyone else. It's called so-so relationship. It seems like she falls into patterns, my therapist said. She has a serious relationship, then she has a so-so one. Unfortunately for you, she met you right after she had a serious one. If you had known about her patterns, you could have told her, please get your so-so relationship out of the way. Then call me when you're ready for a serious one. But you didn't know, and she didn't tell. Achieving closure. You're both trying to achieve closure in this relationship, my therapist said. You want to marry her. She wants to break up with you. And I think she's going to prevail, because it's a lot easier for her to break up with you than it is for you to marry her. You'll have to buy her a ring, go for a blood test, and get both families involved. All she has to do is not see you again. And it seems like she has already started doing that.
Great.
Alarming as well as great.
Well, my therapist is still a little nicer than my mother.
Uh-huh.
Because I pay my therapist money, so if she insults me,
You
I
don't
can
pay-
stop seeing her.
You don't pay your mother?
Not at all, it was free.
Yeah.
You never pay your mother.
I know so many people who have union mothers, you see, and they get a set
Oh.
rate.
See-
And
Yes.
I'm lucky your therapist sounds like my mother.
Oh, she does.
time and a half for holidays and that sort of thing. When did you realize that your singular existence could be turned into poetry?
Well, I always wanted to be a poet, but I didn't know what to write about because I stayed home a lot. I was a bookworm, and my life wasn't that interesting. And I thought, who would want to hear about me? And all of a sudden, I woke up one morning, had a revelation. I said, aha, I just read about my mother because she was really interesting. And I had all this material. She was always yelling at me. Other poets have writer's block, and all I had to do was just call up my mother. She would yell at me, and I would get instant poems.
Actually, we get into a gray area there. Are you sure your mother didn't write the book?
Well, she gave me all the words, so she was my muse, and so she it's all true, unfortunately. So she did write a lot of this stuff.
Now, there's a thought. In your teaching capacity,
Yeah.
Do you, not necessarily these poems, but do you ever use poetry to reach your students?
Yeah, I teach a class of poetry to second graders at my school, and I teach them how to write mother said poems until the mothers call me up.
And then what?
Well, I have to explain to them, they say that the kids are exaggerating. They just want me to know. The kids confess, but I think it's true what the kids wrote.
Uh-huh. And do you have anything that you'd like to offer by way of rebuttal? Do you have a sample from Hal said?
Oh, yeah. This is called, actually it doesn't have a title. It's chicken pox.
Ah.
When I was 6, my mother wanted me to catch the chicken pox. She said if I got it when I was an adult, it could be more severe and make me sterile. No woman would want to marry me because I couldn't have children. But if I got it when I was young, I'd only have a mild reaction and would never get it again. She found a girl on the block who had chicken pox. She arranged for her to come over and play with me. She was a year older and wasn't very nice. She pushed me around. She wouldn't even let me play with my own toys. She kept hogging them. My mother kept coming into the room and saying, "Do you touch her yet? Make sure you touch her a lot so you'll get the chicken pox. Otherwise I'll have to invite her to play with you again." I didn't want to play with her again. I'd rather play with boys. So I touched her in an infected area on her cheek. She smashed me on the head with one of my toys and said she didn't like to be touched. My mother came back into the room and wanted to know how many times I touched the girl. I said only once. She said that was not enough. I had to touch her more. So I touched her again. She beat me up. But while beating me up, she had to touch me. I was sure I caught it. The next day I started to itch. I caught it. My mother said I should thank the girl the next time I saw her. But I didn't feel very grateful. It was itchy. Sometimes I think all my later problems with women stemmed from that incident.
And that girl today is now Mrs. Hal Sirowitz.
Well, I don't know where she is, but I'm not sure if I want to see her. She wasn't very nice. I still remember her. I can still see her.
Probably just as well. I have a very distant cousin, fortunately distant, whose mother insisted that to get chicken pox, he had to play with a chicken.
At least my mother was more humane.
Perhaps another little poem might be nice. A little one.
Okay.
Yeah, let's give it to Mother because Mother gave it to you.
Okay. This is called Chopped Off Arm. Don't stick your arm out of the window, Mother said. Another car can sneak up behind us and chop it off. Then your father will have to stop. Stick the severed piece in the trunk and drive you to the hospital. It's not like the part of your telescope that snaps back on. A doctor will have to sew it. You won't be able to wear short sleeves. You won't want anyone to see the stitches.
Great grief. I'll never own a station wagon again after that, so I'll be prepared. And I guess we're going to have to chop you off at this point, but Hal Sirowitz,
I don't mind.
Thanks for coming on Poet the Poet. We'll be back in a moment with Kathy Taylor and something perhaps a bit more uplifting.